The big question for us is, why would this world collapse like this all of a sudden? So let's review where we are in history, okay? So remember, the four early civilizations are Egypt, Mesopotamia, Indus Valley, and of course, China. And as we discussed, the reason why they are the first four major civilizations is that they have major rivers that allow them to develop agriculture as well as trade overseas. And as we discussed, what will happen is that they will have a major city, and this major city will have colonies along the major river, okay? So in Egypt, it's the Nile. In Mesopotamia, it is the Euphrates and the Tigris. And the first city is Uruk. China, it's the Yellow River, right? So Indus Valley is the Indus Valley, is the Indus River. And now these different city-states will go to war in order to control trade routes. And this leads to a time of major innovation in human history. At the same time, because of these wars, they need better and better equipment. And so eventually they will develop bronze. Okay, bronze. Bronze, as you know, is an alloy of tin and copper. So you need both in order to create bronze, which is the strongest metal. It's ideal for shields, for armor, and for swords. Whoever has more bronze weaponry will win any war. The problem, though, is that tin, it's actually hard to mine and to discover and to excavate and to manufacture. In fact, tin deposits are scattered all around the world, okay? So this is tin over here, over here, over here, and over here, over here. Okay, they're everywhere basically, but it's not concentrated. Therefore, you must now build more trade routes in order to access tin. Okay? So what's going to happen now is that more trade routes will develop in order to access tin. And the major points, the major trade routes will become cities themselves, okay? And now this world is globalized in order to facilitate warfare. Now, what's interesting is the Indus Valley itself, it's not like Egypt, Mesopotamia, and China. It is not engaged in warfare. We've done archaeology in the Indus Valley, in modern-day Pakistan. We have not discovered weaponry, okay? We've discovered bronze, but we have not discovered weaponry. In fact, we believe that Indus Valley, it is a peaceful, egalitarian, and artistic civilization. But it's still brought into this global system. Why? Because bronze changes from weaponry into status, okay? Meaning people use it for pottery, for jewelry. And then eventually what happens is that bronze itself becomes capital, right? Now, what we also know is that this world is heavily globalized. There's a lot of trading, and this world is complete, meaning it touches every corner of the world. But starting in about the year 1200, this system collapses. In fact, the collapse is sudden and devastating. So remember, if you know Chinese history, you will know that this is the Shan dynasty, right? Guess what, guys? About the year 1200, it collapses. All right? And we know this because Egypt is under attack during this time by the Sea Peoples. And what we believe is that the Sea Peoples are actually refugees who are fleeing the destruction of Europe. And what we believe is that there's a perfect storm engulfing this world at this time. Okay? So this perfect storm includes climate change. Climate change leads to drought, which leads to famine, which leads to a migration crisis. What's going to happen is that the Sea Peoples are going to come in from the north, and they are going to wipe out existing civilizations, including Mycenaean Greece and the Hittite Empire, okay? The Hittite Empire, which is in Anatolia, which is in modern-day Turkey. Why Mycenaean Greece and the Hittite Empire are important is we believe they are the two major antagonists in the Trojan War. You may have heard of the Trojan War. Well, guess where? Guess what? Troy is here, okay? So Troy is in the center of global trade, and that's why people fight over the location of the city. So the Mycenaean Greece is being destroyed, the Hittite Empire is being destroyed, and Egypt is being under attack. Egypt will survive the invasions of the Sea Peoples, but after the invasions, Egypt will be exhausted and it will lose its global power status, okay? Indus Valley will be itself overwhelmed because of refugees fleeing in from the steppes, okay? Mesopotamia, and it's very interesting about Mesopotamia, but it's actually the most resilient of all the four major civilizations. And the reason why is Mesopotamia, throughout its history, is constantly at war, okay? So Egypt is protected by natural geography, by the desert, the Sahara Desert, and then by the Red Sea, okay? So Egypt has natural boundaries. China also has natural boundaries, but Mesopotamia does not. It's a flat land. So it's very easy for the mountain people to come invade, and it's very easy for outsiders to come and build new empires. In fact, throughout Mesopotamian history, there have been three major empires: the Akkadian Empire, the Babylonian Empire, and the Assyrian Empire. And it goes back and forth. And these empires are not, they don't really last that long, maybe a couple hundred years at most, because this area is so competitive. But because it's so competitive, it's actually much more resilient than the other areas, okay? All right, so again, the big question for us is, why would this world collapse like this all of a sudden? And it's really relevant for us to understand because many scholars have compared the Bronze Age world to our world, because our world is also one that is heavily globalized, and it seems like it's on the verge of collapse. So why is it that this sort of like globalized world in which many countries are getting very wealthy, why do they collapse all of a sudden? Okay? And the argument I will make to you today is it has to do with the nature of capital. Okay? So what I will show you is that this is a proto-capitalistic system. And what we know about proto-capitalism is that it allows for rapid growth, but then it also allows for rapid collapse.